Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on this video today. This one's going to be a little bit more hands-on than the ones I've done previously. So why am I doing this video? I've had a lot of students ask me how can they get rid of this neck or headache that they're experiencing as they're going on the spiritual awakening journey. But this is specific to people who are experiencing that increased flow of energy that's flowing up through their back, up the spine, into their neck, and it is kind of getting caught normally at that base of skull area. That's where a lot of people say to me that I'm having a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort in that base of skull. Yeah, so base of skull is literally where that neck hits your skull section. To work for me, for myself. So because people have been asking me as to how can I help myself, I thought I'd put this out because this is the way that I've helped myself and I want to share that with you. So the first thing that Source showed me was a way to release the lower part of the neck, yeah, so through here and all the way through to C6, which is that bottom area here. Hopefully you can see it. So what I found is that often we think that it's coming from the base of skull area, yeah? So if you run your fingers up there, you'll hit some bone, and that is the base of skull. That runs along all the way the back there, yeah? From the spine out to the side, just where your ears are. That's all the base of skull area. But what I was shown is that in that C6 area, that is also getting really tight. And it didn't matter what I tried, it just would not release, even though initially I was just focusing on this area up here. I was focusing on my traps and my latissimus dorsi, the lats that kind of run down here, which help you lift your arms, and things just weren't working. So what did Source show me? Source showed me to use this area here. Yeah, so if you run your fingers along the top of your collarbones, your clavicles, yeah, there'll be a bit of a bulge there, and then you'll drop into a divot. Yeah, can you feel that? Just follow along with what I'm doing. Yeah, you can feel that just there. It's like the top of the sternum, yeah, your breastbone, just there. And so a lot of people, when they touch that point, some people literally want to gag, yeah, because it brings up things within them. They don't like touching this area. We don't like other people touching it either. We're quite protective of that area. So for those people that do peak healing, and when you touch that area, you feel life moments start coming up the layers, I suggest that you, before you even start, you go into your layers of self and start calming or releasing those life moments that come up. For those of you that don't do peak healing, I would suggest that you just spend a little bit of time, maybe just gently pushing on that area, and just allow any of those emotions that are going to come up, just allow them to go, just to settle. Yeah, and that's what I had to do. When I started poking around that area, it was really, really unpleasant. So what Source showed me was that I refer to Source as he, God, showed me to use my finger like that. Yeah, so you hook it in. And what I'm going to be using is I'm going to be using the tip of that finger. Yeah, and what Source showed me was to literally come over the top, so you're sitting in that divot. You can see that on me. And then Source said, curl it over. So you're actually, I'll just turn there. You're actually going behind. Not, you find that there's the bone, but if I go behind it and push down ever so slightly, when you do this the first time, don't go in there deep, and often you won't be able to, because the muscle area will be really tight behind it. So if you just go in there and you think, oh my God, this is just not good, just take time out and then go back again. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on it, but you may find that that is actually really, really tender. Yeah, for me, I can go in there now because my body's used to it, and I keep this area really loose. So I do this fairly often for myself. So what Source said to do was to go behind it, gently push it down, and then what Source said is you need to stretch. So with gentle pressure on this area, and you keep the pressure there, I was told to go downwards. Always do this very slowly. If you ever experience any sharp pain or pain at all, then please stop and do not continue. And like with anything you do, sports-wise or stretching, whatever else, if you do have any issues with your neck or back, then maybe see your doctor first and ask to see if, if you should be doing stretching of this kind. As you stretch down, you'll start to feel a loosening of this area around your neck. And just keep holding that pressure on until you've gone down really quite low. And you can let it go. And it's always really good to move around any time that you've held an area like this. What happens is you loosen this area up, and then the rest of the body actually needs to adjust because what has been loosened through here. Yeah. So now we go back in again. Yeah, we come over the top. We're not on the bone, we're off the bone, and we sink behind it. And this time, with just gentle pressure, you can put a little bit more pressure on if you want to, we go backwards. Just as far as it's comfortable, you don't want to over push it. This is purely nice and slow to allow this area to adapt and to start releasing. You can feel my body moving because as this releases, the rest of my body wants to adjust itself. So that's why I'm swaying. And once you feel that's done, gently come backwards and just loosen that up again. You may find that there's a memory, yeah, of your finger actually being there, and you can just literally just rub it just gently. So you're giving it a bit of love. Yeah. For me, I can start feeling this, and you're probably seeing that my neck is actually lengthened. Yeah. And what we can do now is go back in again, and you may find that this is not as tender as it was before, and if that's the case, you can sink in a little bit deeper. And just put pressure on it. And now we're going to rotate to left or right, totally up to you. You'll get to a point where it stops, and then just sit there, just allow the body to do what it needs to do. Remember, you've got some pressure on there. And you can see with me, it's allowing itself to actually sort of move by itself. And I can come back center. And then I can go the other side. Don't rush through this. Remember, and sometimes you'll need to repeat this over and over again, because with any sort of stretching, the body needs to learn that these new stretches are for it, basically. So it's like creating a muscle memory, as if you would go to the gym. You wouldn't just go to the gym once and you start pumping weights and hope that your bicep looks this big. Yeah, so it's a matter of doing the work over and over and over. As soon as it starts tightening up again, go in there and take the time for yourself and be present when you're actually doing this. So that's a very basic move of that. There are a couple of other things that were shown in respect to this. I'm just going to show you the basics of what I was shown initially. Now, I'm going to go to the second move that I was shown. So the second move had to do with my breastbone, the sternum. Yeah. And with this one, I need you literally to find the bottom of your breastbone. Yeah, your sternum. Just find the bottom of it. Yeah, and just put your finger on the bottom of it. Now, with this one, there's an area when you come up, and I'll just do it on myself. I'll just stand on my tiptoes. There's an area that's just as you come up the breastbone. I'll just show it like this. If that was the bottom of the breastbone, just there, yeah, you'll come up ever so slightly, and then it'll kind of divot out, yeah? So there's a flat area, and then it divots out to be a little bit higher. So on my chest, if you follow, it'll go up, and then it'll hit like a if you were to go straight, it butts up against something. That is the point that you want to be on. Yeah? So it's quite low on the sternum. This is where it's on me. And then with both hands and your fingers, or your fingertips again, yeah? So there it is. So with that, I'm going to pull upwards. So I'm going to pull that area upwards. And as I'm pulling it upwards, I'm going to stretch down again. Drop your shoulders down. Nice and slow. There's no need to rush with any of this. And I can literally feel it releasing, not only through the front, but also in my back. And I come up and I can go backwards. For me, that feels really loose anyway. Once you've done that really slowly, come back to center. You can go left. And wherever there's a restriction, just gently hold that. Allow it to push past it. And then the other side. Remember not to round the shoulders. Keep them nice and straight so they're back. And then we come down. And again, allow yourself to move. Move your shoulders, move your arms. Does this chest now start feeling open? Yeah, because remember, when most of us are rotated in like this, yeah, when we're sitting, and then we start walking like that, which is not very comfortable, yeah? So how's that starting to feel in your neck area, and potentially now even in your upper back, because that's where I feel it releasing too. So that's the second one. And the third one is probably a little bit more tricky, but it's not. Yeah. So when you feel your collarbone, yeah, your clavicle, at the end of it, there's like that little bulbous area, yeah? Now, if you go directly underneath it, you've got a little divot, yeah? So there's the breastbone, just there. It's just off to the side and you'll sink into it. So with your first finger, we sink into that area, sink in, put a bit of pressure on, and then you pull it towards your breastbone. Yeah, so you're pulling it that way. At the same time, you're pulling your shoulder back. So you're straightening it up. Then what you can do is you can either rotate to the right, and automatically I feel all this area release for me. Keep pushing that shoulder back because you want the stretch on it. And then I'll also go to that right area. What you can also do is, once you've done that, is kind of look upwards. Again, like I said, if you have neck problems and you're finding this too difficult, then just take it very easy. Or if you feel any pain, please cease and don't do it. You don't want to be pushing past any pain. Yeah, so if I go there, 45, it's allowing all that area, including my neck, to release. Again, I will move, allow everything to shift, even move your legs, because we know that the rest of the body is also connected to everything up here. We're not separate. Yeah, and then we do the other side, that clavicle, the end, the bulbous area, and we sink in. Yeah, in that area. This one's a little bit tight on me. Just with the first finger. If you can't do it with one finger, then by all means do it with two. Yeah, and you can just pull that towards. See how I'm pulling it towards? Shoulder back. If you always, it's also stretched down. It's totally up to you where you want to stretch it. So I go the other side and I feel that, the stretch there from my neck all the way out into that shoulder area. Keep the shoulder back. Right, there we go. It's starting all to release. And you can see my body wanting to adjust itself whilst I'm doing that. Go up at 45. I don't know if you can see it, but I feel so much straighter and longer. And whereas this morning I had some issues with my rotation and it was a little bit tight, it feels really quite loose. The only thing that I'm feeling tight is when I rotate and I feel it through here. I don't know if you can see it. I feel it through here, which is your SEM, yeah? And it literally runs down here into that chest area. And so what Source said, which was the fourth thing, was that behind the ear, or behind the base of skull area at the back, just there, you'll find two bands of muscles. Yeah, they're right on the edge there, and you can feel it because they come down here. Yeah, they're like two bands. So I want you to get really close to at that base of skull area where it starts. Yeah, and just hook two of your fingers either side behind it. Yeah. And so what Source said then was just to put pressure on it going forward. Yeah, so I'm pushing towards you. Yeah, on both sides at the same time. There we go. And now we're going to make sure also, a lot of people stand like this. Yeah, your head is actually meant to be back. It's meant to be on your vertical column. Yeah, and it's meant to, when your head's moving, it should just be floating like this. But a lot of the time it gets stuck, yeah, because there's so much stuff happening at that base of skull area. So what we want to do is we want to hook in behind that point there. Pull it forward ever so gently. Like I said, if you have any problems with it, then don't do it. And put your head back. We don't want to do it forward. Head back. And then you're going to slowly rotate whilst you have pressure on those two areas. See, for me, I can start feeling a release through my back, running down my spine. And I just hold it. As it all starts releasing, then I'll gently go center again. Just make sure I've got the right points. And then I'll rotate the other way. Now this is tight. This I feel more so than the other side. So I will just hold that. And you'll feel as it starts releasing that your fingers will, when you push on the area now, it's more buttery. Yeah, it's a lot softer. So if I now move a little bit and just allow the body, remember I'm moving my legs as well because I want the whole body to adjust. You know, and if you want to do some stretches after this, then feel free to do that too. So if I now, remember I was experiencing tightness through those SEMs while I was rotating. If I now rotate my head, that is far more comfortable. I still have a slight restriction, but there's some other things that Source showed me that I won't show you in this video. It'll probably be in one of the other videos. So there were, what Source does with me, Source always shows me one set of things. And then once they are mastered, in a sense, then something else is given to pronounce what has been given first and foremost. So I need to show you what I was taught initially, and then we can take it step by step. So those are the 4 things that Source showed me that morning when I was in absolute agony. What I did then afterwards, and Source just said, now just go to your base of skull area, and if that is really tight, just literally use the top of your fingers and go in there at the base of skull, push in, hold it, and switch it out. So you're literally attaching, you're pushing it in, you're holding it, and then you're pushing it or releasing it. Yeah, so you're moving it. But it's not a matter of just kneading. You need to sink in, pull it, and release. Yeah, so and then you work along that base of skull area until it starts releasing. Mine is pretty good, so remember, if this has been very tight for you for a long time, I wouldn't spend a lot of time getting in there and absolutely kneading it. You need to do it in stages. And what I found, the students that I've shown, this whole 4-5 move thing or sequence, they've had to do slowly, little bits and pieces. Yeah, you don't want to go in and then just beat up the body and then it may lock up in certain other areas. You need to be gentle on the body. So maybe you do it 2 or 3 times a day, and then on the next day you do it again, and then over and over again. So you're literally teaching the body how you want it to respond. So for me, this is often even like a morning regime for me. If I start feeling any tightness, and it could be the way that you've slept, it could be in the way that you've been at your computer, you can use the same thing. But what I found is that when I've done this, the energy has allowed itself to flow again through my body, particularly up my spine, out my head, or down, because it can get blocked either way as it's running. So I hope this has helped you to show you how potentially you can change and affect your life and the way that the body flows in and through your physical vessel. They are, like I said earlier on in the piece, a number of things that we can also do to enhance this release and other parts of the body. So for me, I found I've needed less physical treatment because I've been able to do stuff on my own body to release my lower back, to release my hips, to release my knees, and it's played a huge part and a huge role in the way that I've been able to move forward and hold more energy within my physical vessel. So if you've enjoyed this video and want to be part of other ones that I'm going to be releasing, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe leave me a comment below as to how your physical vessel has responded to these particular moves. And like I said previously, make sure you do this slowly. Don't attack the body. Take it one step at a time. And you may need to do one area more so than the other areas because it may be that key area that is holding everything so tight. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you also maybe use some of the other videos to start releasing things that are affecting you and holding you bound in your physical vessel and in your layers of self. I've got some fabulous videos on this channel in regards to how to heal deeply, and maybe check out peak healing. If you don't know what peak healing is about, I've got some couple of links in the descriptions below, and hopefully I'll be able to share more of the Sano method, which has helped me personally, and that's why I wanted to share with you. Many blessings to you all, and I hope to see you soon.